Albus Dumbledore's portrait. At Hogwarts, portraits are not just decorations. They hold a magical connection to the people they depict. Albus Dumbledore's portrait, for instance, hangs in the headmaster's office, surrounded by other former heads of the school. But there's something special about Dumbledore's. He knew the magic behind these portraits and began interacting with his painting as soon as he became headmaster in 1956. By doing so, he imprinted his personality, knowledge, and intentions into the painting, ensuring it would retain his essence even after his death. This made his portrait incredibly useful after Dumbledore passed, as it continued to offer guidance, including helping Severus Snape during his time as headmaster. The portrait even played a crucial role in Harry Potter's journey, providing vital information on the Elder Wand and the strategies Dumbledore had put in place to defeat Voldemort. The Fat Lady. Another magical portrait that plays a significant role in Hogwarts life is the Fat Lady. You'll find her guarding the entrance to the Gryffindor common room on the 7th floor. She requires the correct password to grant access, and she's known for being a bit temperamental. Insult her, and she might just refuse entry. Her role in security makes her more active than most portraits. During one infamous incident in Harry's 3rd year, when Sirius Black tried to infiltrate Hogwarts, the Fat Lady fled from her frame, which temporarily stopped access to the common room. She returned with enhanced protection, making her one of the most dynamic portraits at Hogwarts. Plus, she's got a bit of a social life herself, especially with Violet. Another portrait, showing how some painted subjects maintain friendships even in the magical realm. Phineas Nigellus Black. Then there's Phineas Nigellus Black, a former headmaster from Slytherin House and an ancestor of Sirius Black. His portrait exists in 2 places, the headmaster's office and the drawing room of the Black family home at 12 Grimmauld Place. This unusual placement allows him to travel between frames, serving as a link between Hogwarts and the Order of the Phoenix during the Second Wizarding War. Phineas is a portrait with a strong opinion. He often expressed disdain for Gryffindors, especially their ideals. But, like all headmaster portraits, he followed the instructions of the current headmaster. Despite his biases, he was crucial in passing information between Harry and his allies while they were in hiding, even if he didn't always do so willingly. The Bloody Baron. The Bloody Baron, another notable portrait, is also linked to Slytherin House. His portrait is unique, spread across 4 panels that form one continuous scene. It depicts him drawing a sword from its sheath, a moment tied to a tragic story involving Helena Ravenclaw. The Bloody Baron's portrait, one of the oldest at Hogwarts, shows that some figures in the wizarding world are remembered in more ways than one. His ghostly presence is well known, but his portrait adds an emotional layer to his story. Walburga Black. Then there's Walburga Black's portrait. Known for her violent temperament, Walburga is a permanent fixture at 12 Grimmauld Place, guarding the entrance to the Black family home. Her portrait has a magical resistance to removal, something that speaks to the dark enchantments surrounding her. She's notorious for her fiery outbursts, especially against Muggleborns and those she deems unworthy of the Black name. Her portrait exists as a relic of her family's blood purity beliefs, offering little more than a volatile presence. Severus Snape. Severus Snape's portrait didn't appear immediately after his death. Due to the controversy surrounding his actions during the Second Wizarding War, it was initially omitted from the headmaster's office. It wasn't until Harry Potter advocated for it that Snape's portrait was finally added. As with all headmaster portraits, Snape's needed his personal imprint before his death. His inclusion is a symbol of his redemption and sacrifice. Though not heavily featured, his portrait quietly supports the school in later stories, showing how even the most controversial figures can leave behind lasting legacies. Ambrose Swat. Ambrose Swat, a figure from the 18th century, is another headmaster whose portrait can still be found at Hogwarts. Known for his strong religious beliefs, Swat's portraits reflect his commitment to faith. One is located in the grand staircase, and the other in the headmaster's office. His portraits often depict him praying or reading sacred texts, a reminder of a time when magical authority and spiritual practices coexisted more openly. Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn's portrait at Hogwarts is an unusual presence. Although she wasn't a witch, her portrait hangs in the grand staircase, and it's surrounded by rumors of her magical connection. Some believe she was a squib, or even a witch who bewitched King Henry VIII. Her portrait is known for being talkative, often engaging students in conversations about her downfall. She's particularly kind to female students, showing an unexpected side to her character that reflects an early feminist sympathy. Ariana Dumbledore. Ariana Dumbledore, Albus's younger sister, has a portrait in the Hog's Head Inn, owned by her brother Aberforth. Unlike most magical portraits, Ariana's doesn't speak or move much, reflecting her withdrawn nature in life. Ariana's story is tragic. She was an obscurial, her magic violently suppressed after a traumatic attack. Her portrait plays a key role during the Second Wizarding War, controlling a secret passage between the Hog's Head Inn and Hogwarts, helping Harry and his allies move undetected. Armando Dippet, a former headmaster from the 1940s, has his portrait in the headmaster's office, though he's often overshadowed by Dumbledore's legacy. Dippet's time as headmaster was marked by the opening of the Chamber of Secrets, a tragedy that led to the expulsion of Hagrid, a decision that would have lasting consequences. While his portrait doesn't offer much counsel, it remains an essential link to the darker moments in Hogwarts' history. Barnabas the Barmy's magical tapestry is one of the most well-known images at Hogwarts. Though not technically a portrait, this animated tapestry depicts Barnabas attempting to teach ballet to a group of trolls. The comedic disaster that follows serves as both a landmark for finding the room of requirement and a reminder of the fine line between creativity and folly in the wizarding world. Basil Frunzak, a former headmaster, is another interesting figure. His portraits aren't just decorative. They serve as guardians of hidden passageways around the school. His paintings were placed in strategic locations, requiring specific passwords to access secret corridors. This functional use of magical portraits shows how these works of art can do much more than offer advice. They can protect the school and maintain its security. No more Dementors at Azkaban. Following Voldemort's defeat, one of the most significant changes was the abolition of Dementors from Azkaban. These creatures, who thrived on draining hope and joy, had been used to guard the prison for centuries. Their psychological effects were as harmful as their physical presence, often causing prisoners to lose their sanity or give in to despair. As Sirius Black once noted, you could tell when someone was close to death because the Dementors got excited, feeding on that final collapse of will. Under Kingsley Shacklebolt's leadership, the Ministry realized that using Dementors was morally wrong and a sign of institutional decay. Dementors had even sided with Voldemort during the Second Wizarding War, feeding on both wizards and muggles alike. In their place, the Ministry introduced skilled aurors, magical wards, and enchanted constructs to ensure security. Azkaban was transformed from a place of torment into one of containment and justice, signaling a crucial shift in the wizarding world's approach to punishment. Hogwarts is rebuilt. The Battle of Hogwarts left the iconic school heavily damaged, with large sections of the castle destroyed, including the Astronomy Tower and parts of the Great Hall. The Ministry of Magic, under Kingsley Shacklebolt's coordination, immediately began the reconstruction process. Specialist builders and curse breakers were enlisted to safely clear magical debris and remove dangerous artifacts left behind by the Death Eaters. The restoration of Hogwarts wasn't just about rebuilding. It was a symbolic effort to restore hope and security to the wizarding world. Protective enchantments were updated, and new security measures were added, ensuring that the school would be safer for future generations. Minerva McGonagall, who remained as headmistress, oversaw the rebuild and ensured continuity of Hogwarts traditions, including the sorting hat ceremony and Quidditch competitions. By the following academic year, Hogwarts resumed its operations, maintaining the integrity of its magical heritage while adapting to modern security needs. They don't graduate but become aurors. Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger did not complete their final year at Hogwarts. Instead, they dedicated themselves to locating and destroying Voldemort's Horcruxes, a mission that ultimately led to the Dark Lord's defeat. Despite their lack of formal qualifications, Kingsley Shacklebolt offered them positions in the Ministry. Harry became an Auror, specializing in capturing fugitive Death Eaters, eventually rising to head of the Auror office. Ron joined Harry initially, but later left to help expand the family business, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Hermione, after completing her 7th year, and Newts joined the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, later rising through the ranks to become Minister for Magic. Their career trajectories reflected the new policy that valued practical wartime experience over formal education, particularly in critical areas like the Auror office. Post-war relationships. Following the war, many characters formed long-lasting relationships, many of which were explored in the books. George Weasley married Angelina Johnson, and they had 2 children, Fred II and Roxanne. Luna Lovegood, now a magazoologist, married Rolf Scamander, grandson of the famous Newt Scamander. The couple had twin sons, Lorcan and Lysander, and traveled extensively for Luna's research on magical creatures. Neville Longbottom married Hannah Abbott and took on a teaching position at Hogwarts. Draco Malfoy married Astoria Greengrass, though he raised their son Scorpius alone after her early death. These relationships showcased the healing of old wounds and the connections formed during the war. Harry and Dudley's repaired relationship. Harry's relationship with his Muggle cousin, Dudley Dursley, underwent a surprising shift after the war. While the two never became close friends, they reached a form of understanding. In a rare moment of gratitude, Dudley offered Harry a handshake before the Dursleys went into hiding. This moment marked the beginning of a tentative reconciliation, and while the visits between Harry and Dudley remained awkward, they became something of a tradition for the sake of their children knowing each other. Dudley's treatment of Harry's kids was a stark contrast to his parents' attitude, showing that even the most bitter relationships could change with time. Petunia's hidden affection. Despite the cruelty Petunia Dursley often showed Harry, there were subtle signs that she retained some affection for her nephew. Before her death, Dudley discovered that Petunia had kept the blanket in which Harry had been wrapped as an infant. She had preserved it all those years, suggesting that she held on to at least one connection to Harry and her sister Lily. This blanket, a symbol of their familial bond, was returned to Harry by Dudley after Petunia's passing. This small act of preservation indicated that, deep down, Petunia had a hidden affection for Harry, even if it was never fully expressed. Umbridge's fate. Dolores Umbridge, one of the most reviled figures in the wizarding world, faced justice after the fall of Voldemort. Her role as a loyal supporter of the Dark Lord's regime led to her arrest following the collapse of his government. Kingsley Shacklebolt's reformed ministry conducted a purge of all collaborators, and Umbridge was convicted on multiple charges, including unlawful imprisonment, abuse of authority, and complicity in the persecution of Muggleborns. Her punishment was a life sentence in Azkaban, where she would remain in isolation, serving as a symbol of the consequences of bureaucratic evil. While she would no longer be tormented by Dementors, her fall from power marked the end of her reign of terror.